So, if we have a triangle, and this is the angle that we're talking about right here, you have, and this is a right triangle, you have a side that is opposite. You have a side that is adjacent. And the side opposite the right angle is the hypotenuse. Okay? So you have 6 trig functions. They are sine of the angle, which is the opposite side over the hypotenuse. You have the cosine of the angle, which is the what over what? Adjacent over the hypotenuse. You have the tangent of the angle, which is opposite over adjacent. And you have their cofunctions. So the cofunction of sine is cosecant. The cosecant of theta is the reciprocal of the sine function, which is the hypotenuse over the opposite. The cofunction of cosine is secant. What do you think that one is? Hypotenuse over adjacent. And the cofunction of tangent is cotangent, which is the adjacent over the opposite. You need to know those 6 in your head like that, okay? So if you're given, if I ask you what's the cotangent of an angle, you need to know instantly that it's adjacent over opposite, okay? It's not going to be on a note card. It's not going to be posted anywhere in this room. You have to know that, okay? So you have to know sine, cosine, tangent, cosecant, secant, cotangent, their ratios. Okay, because like I said, it's not going to be on a note card. It's not going to be posted anywhere. You have to know them. Okay, we good? We got them, you think? Okay, so let's take a point such as the point -3, 4. This is a point -3, 4 on the coordinate system. Okay? Our angle's down here. What's the sine, cosine, tangent, secant, cosecant, cotangent of that angle? Theta, there. Okay? Well, if my point is -3, 4, the bottom of the triangle is how long? 3. I'll put a -3 there, though. Okay, its length is 3, but we're going to go -3 for right now. What's the height of the triangle? 4. What's the length of the hypotenuse? 5. How do you know it was 5? Because it's a Pythagorean triple. 3 squared plus 4 squared equals 5 squared. Okay? So that is 5. Now, are we going to have a Pythagorean triple for every problem? No, we are not. Okay? So a lot of times we'll have square roots there. But, okay. So what is the sine of theta in this particular instant? Well, what's opposite of my angle? 4. My hypotenuse is 5. Cosine of my angle, -3 over the hypotenuse of 5. The tangent of my angle, 4 over -3. Okay, the negative is important. Negative is important there. The cosecant of my angle, 5 over 4. Just take the reciprocal of that one. The secant of my angle, what? Or -5/3. And the cotangent of my angle, -3/4. Okay, -3/4. Questions on that? Okay, I think you guys handled that pretty well. -8, -5. That's a point back over here somewhere. Now, when I draw my angle in, the angle is always the angle when you're working with sines, cosines, tangents, trigs. The angle that we're talking about is always the angle nearest the origin. And when you draw a point like -8, 5, you always go to the x-axis. You never draw over to the y-axis. You always go up or down to the x-axis. Okay? So this side's -8. This side's -5. What's my hypotenuse? Yeah, that's good. It's good nobody shouted out an answer because you shouldn't be able to shout out an answer for this unless you're like a genius. Okay? Because you have to take -8 squared plus -5 squared, which is 64 plus 25, which is 89. Does that break down at all? No. So it's just the square root of 89. Okay? So, what is the sine of my angle theta here? -5 is in the numerator. What's in the denominator? Square root of 89. Now, if you're in Algebra 2, are you allowed to keep your answer like this? No, you aren't allowed to keep your answer like this because it has a radical in the denominator. Okay? And we rationalize our denominators around here. So we multiply top and bottom by the square root of 89. So it's 5 square root, negative 5 square root of 89 over 89. -5 square root of 89 over 89. Cosine of theta. What do you think we got? -8 over the square root of 89, which, if we multiply top and bottom by the square root of 89, is -8 square root of 89 over 89. Tangent of theta. -5 over -8. What's a negative divided by negative? So we just go 5/8. The cosecant of my function. Square root of 89 over -5, or negative the square root of 89 over 5. Works for me. The secant of theta. 89 over 8. And the cotangent of theta. 8/5. Okay, so from a point, we can draw a triangle. And with that triangle, we've taken the angle closest to the origin. We can find the sine, cosine, tangent, cosecant, secant, cotangent. We can do that, right? Let's do one more, and then I'll let you go on to the assignment. How about we have 3, -3? 3, -3. What quadrant am I going to be in? Quadrant number 4. Quadrant number 4. Okay? So if I go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, down here somewhere. Okay, where do I draw my line? Over the y-axis or up to my x-axis? Up to the x-axis. You always draw to the x-axis. Your angle is always here. Okay, so this is 3. This is -3. So what is our hypotenuse? Well, to figure that out, we go, wow, computer is just jumping around today. 3 squared plus -3 squared. So 9 plus 9 is 18. Can we break down the square root of 18 at all? Yes, you can. What's a perfect square that goes into 18 perfectly? 9 goes in there 2 times. So C equals 3 square root of 2. It's a 45, 45, 90 triangle. So it's going to be 3 square root of 2. All right. Sine of theta. What over what? -3 over 3 square root of 2. Can we leave square root of 2 on the bottom? No, we multiply down bottom by square root of 2. So we get -3 square root of 2 over, what's square root of 2 times square root of 2? 2 times 3 is 6. So that breaks down. 3 over 6 is negative square root of 2 over 2. Cosine of theta is 3 over 3 square root of 2. So if that's -3 over 3 square root of 2, is the answer going to be basically the same, just positive? So it's square root of 2 over 2. Tangent of theta. -3 over 3, which is -1. Cosecant of theta. 3 square root of 2 over -3. The 3's cancel, so you get just negative square root of 2. The secant of theta. Well, it's 3 square root of 2 over 3, which is just square root of 2. And the cotangent of theta. -1, because it's 3 over negative square root of 3. Okay? So you'll be finding today sine, cosine, tangent, cosecant, and secant given a point on the graph. Okay? So you should have a piece of paper out. You should draw out these triangles and so on. You got a long assignment. Problems 1 through 2 all. Oh, I know. Pretty tough. Pretty tough.